Hey, how's everybody doing today? It is a Saturday. What am I doing on a Saturday? I want to thank everybody for being in the chat room today. Jimmy Fast, Alan K, Hooley, Sheila Draper, Rainville Time, you better believe it. I want to thank everybody for being in the chat. And we're going to talk about a treasure hunt from 40 years ago. This one is called Masquerade. Let's see if I can make this a little bigger. There we go. And why do I want to talk about Masquerade? I want to talk about Masquerade, and I would like to make sort of a infrequent YouTube series, let's call it, of treasure hunts from the past, because in my opinion, I think one of the things we can do to get better at armchair treasure hunts is to look at the past ones. Coy, how are you doing this fine afternoon? Coy Lothrop, the solver of Breakfast Tea and Bourbon book treasure hunt. Welcome everybody to the chat room. Welcome to Masquerade, where we're talking about a 40-year-old treasure hunt. Good to hear, Coy. Good to hear. So yes, I want to get better at armchair treasure hunts. Hopefully you want to get better at armchair treasure hunts, and one of those ways we can do it is to go over these ones from the past. They've already been solved, but this way we can get, we can look at sort of the methods and the techniques, and maybe we can pick something up for some other treasure hunts ball. Tadpole's your favorite of all time, really? Yes, art is fascinating. Paintings are entrancing. I agree, Tadpole. Before I begin, I want to thank. I've got some. This series has kind of done a little bit of inspiration from me. Part of it is Jenny Kyle at Mysterious Writings. Jenny Kyle is my favorite source for anything for armchair treasure hunts. She talks about past ones. She makes her own treasure hunts. She's done a couple of articles on Masquerade. She goes over the solution. I think, and I'm hopefully you who are watching this agree, kind of fun to sort of go over it, maybe in a video format instead of reading. Might make it a little bit not easier, but maybe easier. Well, maybe it's easier to understand. In addition, the Dreams of Gerontius. Let me see if I can find Dreams of Gerontius. There's another. This does games, puzzles, armchair treasure hunts. I think this was also a good source. And another one is Dan at bunnyears.net. Now, I know over a video you might have some difficulty going over some of these paintings. These paintings can be very detailed, and it might not come through easily in a video format. I'm going to try to do my best to zoom in, but you might not have great quality in being able to see what's going on. And if you need me to zoom in, let me know. Let's see what else. Dan at Bunny Ears. And, of course, the book that I've been going over. This is Quest for the Golden Hare by Bamber Gascoigne. And this is another thing. I've got some British terms and things I might guess. Bamber Gascoigne. I might get some terms wrong. I do know football pitch is a soccer field. Soccer field is a football pitch. Tadpole says there's an excellent article about it, the treasure hunt that drove England mad or something like that. Yes. There are certain things I will not be going over. There is some controversy in the finding of the treasure. I won't be going over that. There are several red herrings where people have gone down sort of the rabbit holes, as we like to call them. And I'm not going to be going over that. I want to go over the treasure hunt, the book in general, the treasure hunt, how it was solved, what is the main way it was solved, and the confirmers to find the solution. Because I'm trying to get better at armchair treasure hunts. I would recommend that if you want to buy Masquerade, it's easily available since they sold over 1 million copies. It is out of print. However, you go to the Amazon used book section, you'll be able to find it. And I recommend getting it. Not just the fact that it'll be easier to see some of these detailed paintings, but again, a cool source for perhaps other armchair treasure hunts. And I do recommend buying Quest for the Golden Hare from Bamber Gascoigne. I'm going to go over the solution and the confirmers for the treasure hunt, but there's other interesting things that Bamber talked about in his book, including the people that were solving Masquerade. They call them masqueraders, and sometimes, this is kind of related to the Forrest Fenn treasure hunt here in the United States. In the UK, there were people that are highly obsessed in trying to find the treasure for this one. They would take their solution and they would work it way off to the side of where the actual treasure hunt is, and we're all sort of guilty or potentially guilty of doing that. And this is another way you can sort of learn. I'm not going to be talking about it today, but I highly recommend the Book Masquerade and Quest for the Golden Hare, which came out a year or two after the treasure hunt was solved, to talk about that. Okay, so who is Kit Williams? Kit Williams is a very interesting character, and I'm going to talk a little bit sort of the parallels to Forrest Fenn in his treasure hunt in the United States. Kit Williams, though, is an artist, and one of the things he wanted to do is to have his art looked at closely. And when he had a publisher come to him and say, "Hey, I would like to make a children's treasure hunt book," hey, Steve, uh, he, the publisher wanted him to make a children's book, but Kit Williams uh, thought that if he made a children's book, that people would just sort of flip through it and then put it aside, and they wouldn't really appreciate the effort and really look at the paintings that he did. So he decided to do something a little bit different. He made it it is basically a children's book, uh, but he made a treasure hunt to it, and by doing that, everybody looked very, very closely into the paintings and the story, and yeah, that was his method of sort of getting people to look at his paintings, because he is an artist primarily and not a writer. But he has an interesting character. He has an interesting past. Again, read the Quest for the Golden Hare book to get more information about Kit Williams and the past. So what is the book? The book, I said, it's a children's book. And I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see too much of this. I'll open up to a random page. It's very thin. It's only maybe 20 pages long or something like that. One side, there's a story. Again, it's sort of a fantastical children's story. On the other side, there'll be paintings. There are some where the paintings go over 2 pages. I should move over to a different one. Here's like the first painting. I'll zoom it in a little bit so you get a little bit better idea. And the book, it is sort of a children's book where you can read the story. The story is about how the moon has fallen in love with the sun and wants Jack Hare to deliver a jewel to the sun. And the hare goes through the story and trying to find the sun, and goes through, talks to some different people. The story itself is interesting for children. There's also a couple of puzzles in the book. On my last Priddle Monday, I went through some of the riddles. There are a total of 7 riddles in the book. Again, it was really, the riddles are there by Kit Williams and these other things just to bring people into the treasure hunt, sort of a teaser or a taste to get them if I can solve these riddles, then I can work on some other things. Okay, I'm gonna try to read the chat. Sometimes I might miss it, but Tadpole says, "I think there's a different mindset when one searches for a mythical-like treasure versus something with a cash prize." I'd agree to that. One of the things with Armchair treasure hunts is we know there's a prize and we know what it is, and that might be a little bit different than some esoteric thing where you might want to work on a puzzle, but maybe you don't have the incentive to work on the puzzle to find something if the prize is a little esoteric. So there are 7 riddles. There's also a little sort of find the character. There's a hare in every single painting, and it might be difficult for you to see, but there's a hare in this mountain here. Let's see if I can go to another one. Here it's very simple. It's this guy in the outfit. Sometimes the hare is easy to spot. Again, it's just designed to get you interested in things. The hare is pretty easy to see there. Here, the hare. This is the Penny Pockets painting. The hare is under her dress down in the lower right-hand corner. So the little find the hare, again, to make people drawn into it, that's pretty easy to see here. That's another easy hare to find on that painting. Here, it's one of the animals in the circle. You get the idea. Sometimes they're hidden very well. At first glance, I don't see the hare in this painting. But yes, so there was 7 riddles. Find the hare. Another thing that is in the book, you should probably notice this right off the bat, is there are words around the edge, and that's important for the treasure hunt. But there's also letters that are red around the border, and there are some letters that you could call it has like little spurs. And these red letters form a word or words, and the letters with spurs also form a word. However, these were again just for fun. This kind of frustrated the masqueraders in trying to figure out the treasure hunt because there was a feeling that, oh, okay, I figure out these words, and you'd have to take the letters and anagram them, and you find something out. It has nothing to do with the main treasure hunt. But again, this was a method for Kit Williams to sort of draw people in. It's like, oh, if I can figure out this, then maybe I can figure out the main treasure hunt. Love the red herring, the field with the numbers and the squares. So do you. Yes. Again, I don't want to go over too many of the red herrings, but okay. There is a red herring in the football pitch, soccer field. I went past it. You're probably not even going to be able to see this. This is the Terra treetops, and there's a magic square, and it's a 4. I can't even read it myself, but there's a 4 numbers across, 4 numbers down. You take those numbers, you put them into their atomic numbers, make a word, and it says something about like good try again, or something like that. But yeah, there are a couple of red herrings, and there's even a literal red herrings in the painting. There's those big old red herrings right there. So it's, again, interesting character, the painter Kit Williams, and he made all of these paintings. One of the reasons he has the letters, the red letters and the spurred letters, is that he knew that in addition to making the book, he was going to sell the paintings themselves, and so he wanted to have a little painting-specific riddle or painting-specific puzzle for people to work on that's not related to overall treasure hunts. But not necessarily the masqueraders didn't necessarily know that. Marty Bird asked, did he state there were 7 extra riddles when it was released? Okay, the 7 riddles are in the story side of the book. And the story of the fantastical story that you read through of the moon falling in love with the sun and Jack Hare trying to deliver the jewel. So he never actually explained what the riddles were there for, but we found after the fact that they were just sort of a little teaser to get people interested in solving riddles. I don't think there were red herrings, Marty Bird, in the riddles. I'm trying to remember in the book if people might have taken some information in there. Off the top of my head, I don't remember from all the stories. There are several stories of masqueraders and their efforts to solve the treasure hunt. And again, I recommend you read the book, Quest for the Golden Hare, because you can get those stories. I'm not sure if the riddles themselves are red herrings, Marty Bird. There are, or if it was a red herring, an intentional red herring. When I mean a red herring, I mean it was something that was intentionally put there to make you work on it and then get stuck later on. I don't believe so, Marty Bird, but don't quote me on that. Yes, Tadpole. If one of the reasons he sold over 1 million copies of the book is that when he traveled to other countries, because the prize was the jewel was buried in England. One of the ways he got people to buy the book outside the country was that in those books that were delivered outside the country, he said if you mail me the correct solution, I will pay for your plane ticket to come here and bury up the hare, dig up the hare. And so, yes, he got bags and bags of letters to the point where it was overwhelming for him, where he would get to the point where he had even a standard letter that he had sent out instead of responding to everybody. And then it got to the point where he couldn't even read all the letters. A lot of them he just skimmed because he'd see the same people over and over. They would send all kinds of solutions for the treasure hunt. Yes, I do recommend reading up on Masquerade, Marty Bird. At the very least, check out bunnyears.net to get you started. And hey, Sassy, I'm glad you're here. So that's the book and the treasure. Okay, that's the book. So the treasure hunt, and I just mentioned it. There is a jewel that Kit Williams made himself. He buried it in England somewhere, and people had to find it. You had to figure out it's a armchair treasure, and you had to figure it out and just dig it up. And there was some controversy in the finding of the jewel. I won't be going over it, but you're welcome to research that and read about the controversy. Everybody's free to wear sunscreen. Hey, Davio. So the treasure hunt is a jewel. In this case, it's buried. Okay, he explained it was buried somewhere. And so a masquerader had to figure out, if it's buried somewhere in England, how do you find a treasure that is in a 1 square foot section and have it explained in a series of 15 paintings and some stories in a book? You've got 15 paintings. How do you take the information from these paintings with the letters around the edge, probably a significant clue, and get the answer? And there was a primary method to get it, and this was the way. One of the main clues, and this is the 4th painting, and it's called sort of the penny pockets painting. And here we have what they call a magic square. Hard to read, but there's a magic square, and this here it was shown as sort of a game. Penny pockets is sort of an old, I'm going to say old, but probably something from many decades ago, where she would go around and you can try to solve a little puzzle for a penny, and if you got it right, then you could get something from out of her pockets. The treasure hunt, though, part, there we go. I'm going to bring up the magic square. All right. That's not the magic square. That's the one that's on the football pitch / soccer field, which, using the atomic letters, it spelled out, okay, here it is, false, now think again. That was one of the red herrings, one of the intentional things to trip people up. I will say, Davio, it was very clever. The main thing, and this is, I know people that are frustrated with the Forrest Fenn treasure hunt, the solution, which I'm going over now, is very hard, very difficult to solve. But once you see the answer, it's very elegant. I don't know how else to. It's elegant, but very difficult to solve. Grandpa gave you one of those little puzzles as a kid? That's cool, Huli. This is the magic square. Magic squares are where if you add up the numbers either horizontally or vertically or even the 2 diagonals, you come up with the same number. In this case, this is 34. This is a magic square, and it's very popular in hundreds of years ago, where people would try to come up with either 3x3 or 4x4 or some other combination. Try to come up with magic squares where the numbers add up. This is the one that is in the penny pockets riddle. The one that was empty space. It was an empty space because the puzzle had to be a sort of a moving, sliding tile puzzle, but very simple. If you looked up the magic square, this one is This is a magic square by Renaissance artist Dürer in Germany. and you can figure out to put the 7 in, again, adding up the numbers. But this particular one is the one that uh, is the main driver of getting people to the answer. Sassy asks, I thought Masquerade was way more difficult than the blame on. Elegant is a good word for it. Elegant. I'll admit, Sassy, I don't know more than the surface understanding of the Blaine treasure hunt. But this one is very difficult. This one being the Masquerade treasure hunt, very difficult. It was released in 1979. It took 2.5 years for a couple of physics teachers to discover the solution, and even that was after a clue was given out, well after the book was delivered. I will say it's very difficult. I've read some comments online that says if Masquerade was released today, I bet it would have been solved much quicker because now we have internet, we have sort of easily available research over the internet, and I'm not so sure if that's the case. Again, I'm not even through the solution yet, but when I get through the solution, you'll see it's a very difficult puzzle. But once you see, it's very elegant. But for someone to figure this out, I think is very impressive. Okay, this is the Magic Square made by Dürer, the Renaissance artist from Germany, and this is from the Penny Pockets painting. Does anyone know if Forrest Fenn worked on stuff like this in the past? I will say, Hooley, that some people feel that he is not familiar. There is a quote on one of Jenny Kyle's, I don't know if it was a 6 Questions or one of the other ones, but he was asked specifically if he has ever worked on any of these past Armchair treasure hunts, and his answer was that he's read about pirate treasure hunts and he'd really like to solve one. So again, sort of a non-answer answer as Forrest Fenn does. And that's in addition to the well-known foot-pounds, head pressures, codes, ciphers, riddles will not help you to solve. Those are the 2 quotes that I know. Yes, but didn't Sassy asks, but didn't a relative of his find it under nefarious circumstances? Yes, there's a relative co-worker. The finding of this treasure, there's controversy behind it, but I don't want to go over it now, only because I'm trying to get better at Armchair treasure hunts. If you want to read it, you already know about. You have already read the Quest for the Golden Hare. I think you've told that me before, in a chat room. But there is controversy in how it was solved, and if you want to read it, if anybody else would like to read about that, you can look up online. I want to talk about the solution and the confirmers because I want to get better at Armchair treasure hunts. I'd like to thank everybody for coming into the chat room for today. And okay, main solution. This is the Magic Square in the Penny Pockets painting. Man, I'm having a hard time ignoring the chat. Okay, I'm going to see maybe go a little bit further, and I'm going to ignore the chat for a couple of minutes. Okay. So, the other primary source of information, this is the Isaac Newton painting. And I've got this one sort of blown up so it's a little easier to see. One of the main clues to solve the treasure hunt here is that we have sort of a magic square, but it's got these letters on it. And one of the important information you need to take to solve this treasure hunt is this red, yellow, green, blue sequence. And you take this information, and you do it in order. You've got 1 is the lower right. So you've got this red M. So red. Then you've got 2, which is the second from the top. Second from the right on the top. So you go red, yellow, 3 is green, and 4 is blue for this blue R in the lower right-hand corner. And this sequence, if you go throughout, it will continue. This red, yellow, green, blue sequence is important. And in addition to that, this red, yellow, green, blue is also shown on the penny pocket squares red, yellow, green, blue, red, yellow, green, blue, red, yellow, green, blue. So this sequence was, you had a little bit of a confirmer that the red, yellow, green, blue sequence is important to you. Da, 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 da. The other thing is on the marionettes, the fingers also have red, yellow, green, blue. Red is for the left hand. Again, here, red goes to the left hand. Yellow goes to the left foot. Yellow goes to the left foot. Green goes to the right hand. Green goes to the right hand. Blue goes to the right foot. Blue goes to the right foot. This was an important piece of information to solve the main treasure hunt. Da, 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 da. Also on this painting, we have the importance of the animals. The importance goes, and it's kind of shown in these animals that are sort of nailed to the wall behind Isaac Newton. It goes sort of adults, child, frog, hare or other mammals, birds, and fish. And if any of them had a black and white ring, then they were not important. Some of these black and white rings are also with yellow, green, and blue. But if it's only black, like the butterfly, the butterfly only has black and white rings. These insects only have black rings. They were shown to be not important for solving the riddle, the puzzle. Okay. So red, yellow, green, blue, red, yellow, green, blue. You take this information and you can come up with how to solve the riddle, the puzzle. I'm stuck on riddles. This is the first painting. You saw it earlier, where you've got a hidden hare, which is part of this hillside, and it's going to be hard to see, but the hare has right front paw, left front paw is right here. This is the paw here, and back feet. Here's the back left foot, and the back right foot is here. Hard to see, but it's important because it goes, again, red, yellow, green, blue, where red goes, eyes were important. Okay, let me go back. Eyes are important, and this was confirmed by the girl has her hands pointed to her eyes. Also, the animals that were nailed up to the wall behind Isaac Newton, they were nailed by their eyes. So it was a little confirmer to get people to understand the importance of eyes. So each of the paintings gives you a word or multiple words to solve the main puzzle. You go from first one, yellow, left eye to middle finger of left hand, or in this case, the only animals that are here is the hare and these three mice. And so in the sequence of order, you start with the hare. We go left eye to left front finger, and that takes you to the letter C. So there's your first letter. Second letter, yellow, goes from left eye to left foot, and that gives you A. Then you go right eye to right hand, or for an animal, right front paw. That takes you to T. Then for the fourth one, right eye to right foot, and that gives you H. So far we have C-A-T-H. Some animals you only have one of the two eyes shown, or maybe some of the hands and feet, or one foot, one hand, one foot. For this mouse, we only have the left eye visible in the painting. So you're supposed to go first left, let me see, T-A-C-A-T-H-E. So it goes left eye, left middle finger or left paw, left front paw to E, then left eye to left foot, and that gives you R. Then, okay, so you don't have any right eyes visible, so then you go to the next animal, and it's another mouse. Here you go left eye to left hand I, letter I in the edge of the painting. Right eye to right hand or right front paw, and that brings you to N. Okay, so here, this mouse, we only have the right eye visible. So you go right eye, right front paw, I guess. E, whoops. Don't do that. Uh-oh. Okay. And then right eye to right foot, S. So all that is for the first one gives you Catherine's. Catherines. I would say this is not, it's not very seem very unfenny. I agree, this is not something that that Forrest Fenn would do. But he didn't do paintings. He's made a poem, and he's made written books. So this is not something specific for Forrest Fenn. This is more about all their armchair treasure hunts. And I think Hooley is understanding this is a very difficult solution, but elegant in that you can see, at least you can see after the fact that, wow, it's a pretty tough puzzle to solve. So this is the first of the 15 paintings. You get Catherine's, and it gives you in order. You don't have to rearrange the letters as long as you solved the order in the red, yellow, green, blue, which is left eye to left hand, left eye to left foot, then right eye to right hand, right eye to right foot. As long as you followed that and you knew the animal importance where it goes adult, child, frog, hare, other mammals, birds, and fish. As long as you knew that sequence, you can go through this through every painting of the 15 paintings. I'm only going to do this first one, and that gives you Catherine's. You go through all 15 of the paintings, and you get Catherine's long finger overshadows earth, buried yellow amulet, midday points, the hour and light of equinox, look you. That was the main answer you get from using the two paintings, the penny pockets. How did I do? What did I do over here? Masquerade page answer. No. There we go. The penny pockets, Magic Square, and the Isaac Newton painting to get that information. You can also take most of these first letters and you get close by Ampthill. The treasure was hidden in Ampthill Park, which is outside the town of Ampthill, and Catherine's long finger overshadows earth. That's a tower, and I forgot to, I can do it right now. Google Maps, Ampthill Park, UK, Catherine's Cross. And the solution, all right, give me a picture. Here we go. Something like that. I'm trying to give you a picture here. Catherine's Cross. I guess that's the best we can do. Can you cover the words that were eliminated and how? Okay, let me see. Catherine's long finger. So yeah, finger was not used. Light of Equinox. These might be, I know Light of Equinox was all in one painting. It might have been one per painting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, so there are 15 letters. I have a feeling, Sassy, that it was the first, if there were multiple words in one painting, like there was on the one that had Light of Equinox, it was the first letter of the first word. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's how you get that. So Catherine's long finger. This is the cross for uh, Catherine of Aragon. Um, and there's a shadow that casts down on either the spring equinox or the fall equinox at noon, and the location where the cross's shadow comes down, that was the location in Ampthill Park where the hare was buried. Okay. So you got the answer of Catherine's long finger overshadows earth, buried yellow amulet midday at noon, points the hour in light of equinox, look you, close by Ampthill. So maybe that's the case, Marty Bird. Okay. So there was kind of a confirmer, but kind of an important confirmer is that there was another magic square, and I already know you're not going to be able to see this, but I'm going to at least give you the location. On the last painting, there was another magic square on the beach. You're not going to be able to see it, but I'll bring it up someplace else. On the last painting, there was another magic square. And this one told you, in the same relative to the Penny Pockets magic square, it told you the number of letters for that painting. So for example, the first one, and this is the magic square on the beach. I will go back to the magic square and the Penny Pockets. So number one, the number one painting, the one that we just did for Catherine, that is 10. And 10 is the same number of letters, Catherine's, there's 10 letters. The second, the second painting is this, okay, third column closest to the top. For the second painting, the number was 46 on the beach. And this told you not that there was 46 letters, but that there was 2 words, and the first one was 4 letters, and the second one was 6 letters. And for that one, the second painting, it was long finger. Long, 4 letters, finger, 6 letters. So you had the beach magic square give you sort of a confirmer that if you had some trouble in lining up the letters, you had that magic square telling you exactly how many letters, and if there was more than one word, there were, if there are 2 words or even 3 words, like the second to last one, the number was 527. Where was it? So you had 527. That didn't tell you that there was 527 letters. It said there was 3 words, a 5-letter word, a 2-letter word, and a 7-letter word. And that was Light of Equinox. So that's the main solution for Masquerade. I know I kind of yada some of it, but let me know if you have any questions, and I will do my best to answer them. Forrest disliked Masquerade so much he created TTOC. Maybe that's the case, Marty. Again, this is very different. Kit Williams is primarily an artist. He's done some sculpture. He made the jewel that was hidden, and I would call Forrest Fenn more sort of a writer in how he created his treasure hunt, where Kit Williams was more of a painter. And so even the story part of the book wasn't that important, and maybe that wasn't sort of in Kit Williams's wheelhouse, and so he was all into the paintings. Again, these are very detailed paintings. I recommend you get the book so you, instead of looking at the blurry pictures here online. Let me see if there are any other questions. I'm suddenly reminded the Arrowhead Arch Salvage you have been discussing. Yes, I will say the fact that the shadow is the answer, and then I forgot who was it, Steve Wayne, or it was Wayne somebody maybe who gave Toby at A Gypsy's Kiss the arch opening, and although I would say that more reminds me of um, the movie, which now all of a sudden escapes me, where the light shines down from the staff and it lights up something. That's what it kind of reminds me of. So that is the main solution of Masquerade. I'm going to go over some of the confirmers. Uh, these are not things that you needed to solve the puzzle, but these sort of pointed you in the right direction. Raiders of the Lost Ark, geez. I don't. Thanks, Coy. Raiders of the Lost Ark. There was a place where he like stuck a staff into a ground, and there was a sunlight shined something through like a jewel on top of the staff, and then it lit up a spot in the floor. That's kind of reminds me of that Arrowhead Arch that somebody sent to Toby in what is it, Toltec Gorge or something like that in New Mexico. Yeah, Raiders. So next I'm going to go through some of the confirmers. I'm going to go back to the first painting. So these confirmers are not required to help you solve the solution, but they were there if you figured it out to sort of confirm that you're on the right path, which I know from what I've heard you don't really get that in Forest Fen, but you did have these here. And this first one is kind of the main primary confirmer is along the edge there's 1 of 6 to 8. 1 of 6 to 8 is a reference. I guess I should zoom in further. Enhance. 1 of 6 to 8. Catherine of Aragon was the first of 6 wives of Henry VIII. So 1 of 6 to Henry VIII. That was one of the first confirmers that Catherine of Aragon, the cross was for Catherine in Ampthill Park. All right, second painting. All right, here, and again I have to zoom in a little bit. The Sun Man on the left is pointing at March 21. There's a calendar. Again, I know you're going to have a hard time reading this, but there's a calendar, and he's pointing at March 21. That is the day of the spring equinox, which is one of the 2 days that the shadow on the cross fell onto the location of the buried hare. Yep. All right, seventh painting is the next confirmer. Okay. All right, this was a weak confirmer. So Ampthill Park kind of sounds like Ant Hill, and so Kit Williams put an ant close to the hare's ear. It's a weak confirmer, but it's there. Another weak confirmer, and this is in the 10th painting. Through the jello, there is a clock. Kit Williams he drew this, or he painted this clock from memory, and it's supposed to represent the town clock in the town of Ampthill, but it's a lot different. It's rectangular, there are multiple faces, but he meant for that to be a confirmer in solving the treasure hunt. I told you about the animals and the eyes, the girl's pointing at her eyes. All right, the letter square on the Isaac Newton painting. I think you had a better view of the one over here, I think. So the kind of magic square that's full of letters, you got the red, yellow, green, blue sequence from this, but there's also the letters themselves was a confirmer, and this was a very difficult confirmer. But each of the letters represents towns and villages that are near Ampthill. And even they relate to the penny pockets numbers in that each letter that represents the town is the number of miles from the town of Amptil. So this one, I forget I'd have to look up the town, but the town that begins with M that Kit Williams represented is only 1 mile from the town of Amptil. And so this was a confirmer for people, if they could figure that out, that that's what the letters represented. Thought the clock hand should be at 12 noon should be a confirmer. Okay, I'll take a look. Don't do that. Back. I'll fix that later. Pictures. The clock is at noon. Wow, I can't even. I'd have to look in the book. Or maybe you mean a different clock, Sassy, because it doesn't look like that the clock is at noon. It looks like it's 4:10 or something like that. Well, that would be a confirmer if it's thought to be somewhere in there. Okay, we're gonna go back to the Isaac Newton painting. Back to the Isaac Newton painting. On people complaining. No, and again, we're referencing the quest for the Golden Hare. There were a lot of people, even when the hare was found and shown on TV, it was found, people still didn't believe that they were wrong. They were so tied up into their solves. Oh, clock hands should have been at noon. Okay, I misread. You're right. You're right, Sassy. I misread what you put. Let's see. Okay, one of the other confirmers, and it was right here in the Isaac Newton painting. Jack be nimble, Jack be quick, Jack jumped over a candlestick. This is an old nursery rhyme for a candle jumping game. This game was played by lace makers on St. Catherine's Day. And Catherine of Aragon was the one who introduced lace making to the Amptil region. So this was having this candle and having the puppet, the male puppet, sort of jumping over the candlestick was meant as another confirmer. All right, 15th painting, which is the last one, I think. Okay, it's a culmination is at the bottom. A culmination is used for when a heavenly body reaches the highest point in its path. This would be the case for noon for the sun relative to the earth. So culmination was another confirmer that noon on the spring equinox or on the fall equinox, the time when the shadow comes down, this was meant as another confirmer that you're on the right spot. Another thing, I mentioned that the riddles were not important for solving the riddle, but there was a weak confirmer. Without a computer and net, yeah, I know. People did go to libraries, and I'd say this is another similar to the Forrest Fenn treasure hunt, where in Forrest Fenn, people are researching things like Native American history, history of the area of New Mexico, Colorado, Wyoming, Montana. People did a lot of research into libraries, and they would write to Kit and say, "Wow, I haven't been in a library in years, but trying to solve your puzzle, help me go into it." Let's see. Okay, the riddle confirmer. There was one riddle. It was called "I have a little sister, and in the field she's been." Okay, I have a little sister, and in the fields she's seen. There's a second cross in the Amptil Park, and so this was a weak confirmer in the riddle that you weren't to look for the little sister, you looked for the larger sister in the field of Amptil Park. And let's see. This is in the beginning of the book. It says, "Within the pages of this book, there is a story told of love, adventures, fortunes lost, and a jewel of solid gold. To solve the hidden riddle, you must use your eyes and find the hare in every picture that may point you to the prize. So this was an important clue right there in the introduction, that using your eyes, and you notice that the eyes were the starting point of the lines that took you to the edge of each painting as a confirmer, and that finding every hare would point you to the prize. There was a hare in every painting, and you had to use the hare in every painting as one of the places, as a source of going from the eyes to the hands and the feet out to the edges of the painting. So that was an important confirmer right there in the introduction. Cooley says you've been in the library for Fenn. Yep, that's good. There's information in the library that you can't get online. There's no doubt about it. All right, the last thing I want to mention is that a lot of people were... Oh, why did I close that? I don't know. A lot of people were having trouble solving it, and so Kit Williams released a hint in the Sunday London Times. This is like a year or two after the Masquerade book was released. And he released this in the newspaper. And it's a little sketch of Kit Williams himself. He's surrounded by all these different animals. And there's a code, I'll call it a code, in the information here. Very interesting, the instructions provided. Yep. There might be something in that Forrest Fenn book in how he describes it too, right in the TTOCC. There might be something more important. You never know. But it had this kind of a weird code thing. And one of the important things to remember is that this was in a newspaper. And so it was very easy to fold and to see through. And so what you had to do is you had to like fold over this paper in between the third and the fourth line, and then it made some words for you. And this is what the words say. They say, to do my work, I, A-E-D, Roman numeral 4, men from Roman numeral 20, the tallest and the fattest and the righteous follow the sinister. So the clue is to do my work, I appointed, A-E-D is an abbreviation for appointed. So I pointed 4 men from 20. 4 men from 20 is from an old nursery rhyme or riddle or something like that, where 4 of 20, meaning 4 letters, 4 fingers or toes, and you're supposed to use the tallest and the fattest. So the tallest using the middle fingers and the fattest being your big toes, and those are the things you're supposed to use to point. And the righteous follow the sinister. Sinister is your left eye, and righteous right eye. So the righteous follow the sinister. Start with the left eye, and then use your right eye, using 4 of the 20 fingers and toes that you have. This was the hint that Kit Williams provided for people in the newspaper a year or two after the treasure hunt came out. Okay, that is all I've got. That is the riddle. That is the puzzle. The treasure hunt, Quest for the Golden Hare. The treasure hunt Masquerade with the companion book that came out after, Quest for the Golden Hare. That is the main solution for the treasure hunt and the confirmers that are in the book. Sinister equals left. Yes, I'll admit I read that. I don't quite sure what that means, but righteous being right is easier to understand. I would have to research what sinister equals left means. So I would like to thank everybody for watching my video. I would like to do more of these in the future. Ideally, I'd like to do one of Jenny Kyle's. I'm going to ask permission from Jenny Kyle if she'll let me do one of her completed treasure hunts. Don't you wish there were confirmers for Fenn? I think that a lot of people would wish that too. Yes, the physics teachers, the scientists that solved it, they needed the hint from the newspaper. They needed this hint in order to solve it. The I appointed 4 men from 20. It was available to a lot of people, and it was still several months after the hint was given out that even they found it out. Sinister is the left side of the shield from heraldry. Okay. Sinister, left side. Okay. Instructions remind me emphasis force put on the 9 clues. Within the pages of the book, there is a story told of love, adventures, fortunes lost, and a jewel of solid gold. To solve the hidden riddle, you must use your eyes and find the hare in every picture that may point you to the prize. Heraldry, coat of arms. Okay. So again, I would like to do more of these, reviewing old armchair treasure hunts to get us better at current treasure hunts. It's not going to be a regular feature like my Priddle Mondays, but I would like to do more of these. And if Jenny Kyle, I'll try to get permission from Jenny Kyle to do one of her solved ones. I'd like to do the one that took over a year for someone to figure out. If Jenny Kyle will let me do that. But I'd like to thank everybody. Priddle Monday will be coming up on Monday. And I'd like to thank everybody who came by, either in the chat room or if you're watching this after the fact. Let's all get better at armchair treasure hunts. Everyone have a good rest of your weekend. Bye. Mm-mm-mm.